Every human being, regardless of how composed they appear on the surface, is engaged in a brutal private war. This is not a battle fought with steel or gunpowder, but a silent, violent conflict within the neural pathways of the mind. You wake up and the fog of war is already there, the remnants of yesterday's failures, the anxiety of tomorrow's uncertainties. You wear the mask of sanity, you smile, you function, but inside, the noise is deafening. It is a chaotic feedback loop of mistakes, fears, and weakness. The weak man is consumed by this noise. He becomes a slave to his own neurochemistry. But the Stoic? The Stoic views the mind not as a garden to be tended, but as a fortress to be defended. Marcus Aurelius stated, "No man can master his life until he masters his thoughts." This is the fundamental law of power. If your mind is the command center, your thoughts are the orders. If the orders are corrupt, the mission fails. Most people walk through life with a poisoned command center, believing every intrusive thought is a fact. They are easily manipulated because they cannot control their own internal narrative. Today, we execute a system override. We are not here to heal in the soft sense. We are here to clear the mechanism, to delete the toxic code, and to reclaim absolute sovereignty over your own consciousness. This is the integration of Stoic wisdom and modern psychological warfare. True power begins with a concept known in modern psychology as cognitive diffusion, but the Stoics mastered it centuries ago as the art of the Watchtower. You must understand that you are not your thoughts. You are the entity observing them. The average individual identifies completely with their internal monologue. When a thought says, "I am weak," or "I am going to fail," they accept it as reality. They merge with the weakness. This is a fatal error. To achieve the Stoic mindset, you must install a filter between the thought and the self. Imagine standing on a cliff, watching a violent storm rage over the ocean. You are not the storm, you are the cliff. The storm screams, it thrashes, but it cannot move the stone. This is the separation you must cultivate. When a toxic thought arises, do not say, "I am a failure." Rephrase it tactically. "I am observing a thought that suggests failure." This linguistic shift is a psychological weapon. It strips the thought of its emotional payload. It turns a monster into a mere data point. You are the operator of the machine, not the gears grinding inside it. By practicing this detachment, you become unreadable and unbreakable. No one can manipulate a man who does not even trust his own impulsive thoughts. You become a ghost to the chaotic forces trying to drag you down, floating above the noise, observing without reacting, calculating without feeling. This is the first step to becoming the master of your reality. The weak mind is constantly time-traveling, and it is an inefficient use of energy. Most men are paralyzed by the weight of the past, carrying the corpses of old mistakes, or they are frozen by the terror of the future, simulating scenarios that have not happened. Seneca, the great Stoic strategist, warned, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." We suffer once in reality, but 1,000 times in our imagination. This is self-sabotage. From a dark psychology perspective, guilt, past, and fear, future, are the two levers manipulators use to control you. If you hold on to regrets, you have a handle that others can grab. If you fear the future, you are easily herded. To be truly sovereign, you must execute a protocol of temporal deletion. You must sever the emotional cords to the timeline. The past is dead data. It cannot be rewritten, only analyzed for tactical lessons. The future is a variable that has not yet rendered. The only tactical reality is the immediate present. When you catch your mind drifting into the what-ifs, you must ruthlessly cut that signal. It is not preparation, it is a leakage of power. Visualize your mental energy as currency. Every second spent replaying a humiliation from 5 years ago is a theft of your current resources. To cleanse the mind is to close these open loops. You do not forget, you simply refuse to carry the dead weight. You become lighter, faster, and infinitely more dangerous because your entire focus is concentrated like a laser on the now. Embedded deep within your psyche is an enemy agent, the inner critic. This is the voice that speaks loudest when you are tired, hungry, or ambitious. It whispers, "You aren't ready. They are better than you. It's too late." The average man tries to argue with this voice or drown it out with cheap dopamine and distractions. Both strategies fail. If you argue, you validate its existence. If you hide, it waits. The Stoic approach is not to silence the enemy, but to interrogate him. This is the cultivation of a Sigma mindset, absolute emotional coldness towards one's own insecurities. When that voice rises, do not flinch, stare it down, treat it like a hostile witness in a courtroom. Ask it, is this statement objectively true? Does this thought serve my mission? If the answer is no, you discard it with extreme prejudice. You must realize that this voice is often just the echo of mediocrity, society's programming designed to keep you in line, or the biological fear of standing out. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The inner critic is your adversity simulator. Every time you override it, you build a callus on your mind. You build mental toughness. Do not wish for the voice to disappear. Use it as a sparring partner. Every time it says stop and you keep going, you are rewriting your neural architecture from that of a subordinate to that of a commander. The Romans had a term for the ultimate state of power, Ataraxia. It translates to unperturbedness or absolute invulnerability to the external world. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire that was crumbling. Wars on the borders, plague in the cities, betrayal in the Senate. Yet he remained sane because he had a fortress within. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a weapon. In a world that is addicted to noise, attention, and constant validation, the man who can sit in absolute silence is the most intimidating person in the room. This is the monk mode aspect of our philosophy. You must carve out a sanctuary of silence every single day. This is not meditation for relaxation. This is a tactical briefing with yourself. For 10 minutes, no phone, no music, no inputs. Just you and the raw data of your own mind. At first, it will be chaos. The mind will thrash like a wild animal trapped in a cage. Let it thrash. Watch it. Eventually, the sediment settles and the water becomes clear. In this stillness, you stop reacting to the world and start acting upon it. Emotional detachment is forged here. When you are comfortable in the void, you no longer need the validation of others to feel alive. You no longer fear being alone. You realize that the noise outside can never breach the walls of the fortress unless you open the gate. This stillness allows you to read people, to detect lies, and to see the chessboard while others are just reacting to the movement of the pieces. A chaotic mind is a diffuse light. A clear mind is a laser beam. Once you have filtered out the toxic thoughts, the past regrets, and the internal sabotage, you are left with raw, potent energy. The Stoics did not seek peace for the sake of comfort. They sought clarity for the sake of action. When the fog lifts, you see reality with Machiavellian precision. You see the true value of your time and attention. You realize that engaging in petty arguments, scrolling through social media, or worrying about the opinions of NPCs is a gross misallocation of your resources. A man with a clear mind becomes ruthless with his focus. He understands the 48 laws of power instinctively, specifically the law of concentrate your forces. You stop leaking energy. You invest your mental capital only in things that yield a return: your body, your empire, your mind. This is the transition from a passive existence to an intentional one. You begin to live with the precision of an architect. Every action has a purpose. Every word has weight. The toxic thoughts were merely distractions, static on the radio preventing you from hearing the orders. Now that the static is gone, you can hear the signal. You can execute. The world outside has not changed. It is still chaotic and unfair, but you have changed. You are no longer a leaf blowing in the wind. You are the wind itself. There is an old story about a blacksmith who lived next to a busy inn. Every day he hammered glowing steel, the clang of metal echoing from miles. A traveler asked him, "How can you stand the noise? It is unbearable." The blacksmith looked at the hammer, then at the fire, and said, "I don't hear the noise, I only hear the work." This is the final level of the Stoic transformation. You do not eliminate the toxic thoughts by running away from them. You eliminate them by outgrowing them. You condition your mind to filter out the irrelevant, the chaos of the world, the insults of enemies, the doubts of the weak. It all becomes background radiation. It is there, but it does not register. This is the silence is power principle in practice. You focus on the fire and the hammer, your purpose, your discipline. What once felt like a burden, the struggle to control your mind, becomes your nature. You stop trying to be stoic, you simply are. The mental toughness you have built becomes your armor. You realize that the fire inside you burns hotter than the fire around you. The toxins cannot poison a system that is constantly purging itself through work and discipline. You have achieved a state where you are psychologically untouchable. You have moved from playing the victim in your own mind to being the absolute ruler of your internal world. The war for your mind never truly ends, but the balance of power has shifted. You now possess the weapons to win. The fog has lifted, not because the weather changed, but because your vision improved. Remember, the goal of Stoa logic is not to be unfeeling, but to be unruled. To stand amidst the chaos of the modern world, the manipulation, the noise, the weakness, and remain completely, terrifyingly calm. If you are ready to walk this path of power, to reject the toxic narratives and forge a mind of steel, then you know what to do. Join the ranks of the unruled. Subscribe to the channel now. Silence the noise, sharpen the blade, and dominate your reality. I choose power. I choose calm.